What's good, everybody? Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are preparing physically, mentally, and spiritually for the dark times that are ahead of us. And I hope you guys are getting right with God and staying strong. Got some more important information to share with you guys today. And as you guys can see by the title, you already know what I'm going to be talking about for the video. But this is something that just recently happened. And of course, we have another thing that happens that relates to this whole topic, which is something that we've been talking about a lot very recently. I've been making many different videos talking about this whole thing. And as days go by and as time goes on, you're starting to see more of this stuff take place, and you're starting to see this whole thing get worse, right? And it's escalating quickly. You already had the pipeline thing. You already had the thing with the gas, right? You already had the thing with the JBS meat processing company, the largest meat processing company in the world. You also had, there was also another one in New York. I believe it was something to do with, I forgot what it was, but like there was like something else that was supposedly hacked in New York. I think it has something to do with like subway stations or something like that. That one didn't really make sense to me, but I haven't looked into that one that much. But that was another one that happened. And now we have this situation that happened in Puerto Rico, where they say there was many different articles with different numbers claiming that it was, some articles were saying it was 400,000. Some articles are saying 900,000, and whatever, the number is. And just before I continue on with what I'm going to be talking about, I make my video titles based off of what's talked about in the video. And just because I have my video titles a certain way, it doesn't mean that I necessarily believe that narrative. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I believe what these people are saying about what caused these things to happen. Because you guys got to understand that everything that takes place in this world is all planned out and all by design by these people who are behind it. It's all scripted. Everything's a show. Everything's being played out by these people. And eventually the big one's going to happen where they're going to just shut down the power for every single country. So pretty much for everybody. Because, this would be the perfect way, folks, for them to usher in their entire plan and their entire agenda and just to implement the Great Reset. So you need to prepare yourselves as much as possible like you never have before in your life, because whenever the big one happens, it's going to get dangerous very quickly. And I'm not saying that to scare you. If you're scared of these things, that's not my problem. I'm getting this information out so that you understand how important it is for you to be ready for these serious things that we're literally dealing with, and these serious things that are literally getting worse as time goes on. So yeah, you had the Puerto Rico thing, right? This happened very recently. They said it was a cyber attack and a fire that shut down the power supply for over like 400,000 people, or for over 800,000 or 900,000, whatever the number was, folks. Just understand that these things are happening. They're already exercising. They're already, you guys already know, I mentioned the July 9th thing with Cyber Polygon many different times, but they're already experimenting with it right now. But on July 9th, they're just gonna do another one with pretty much with the supply chain attack. And the supply chain, as you guys know, is already breaking down as we speak. It's already happening right now. But they're going to continue doing more experiments. They're going to continue seeing how people react, because, folks, these people, they're going to continue to learn how humanity reacts to these things, even though they already perfectly understand how people react to the things that take place in this world. They're still trying to, learn more and more how people react to certain things. And that's what they do, even if they understand these things perfectly, they want to continue understanding more and more so that they understand it better and better and better. So that when they flip the switch, and these people know anyways that the moment that they shut the power off, they know exactly what's going to happen. They know people are going to lose their minds. they know it's going to get dangerous quickly. They know, and especially if it's a long-term grid down scenario where, you know, the grid's just, you know, shut down for months and even years. And you guys remember what happened in Texas, right? A few months ago. It was, I believe, for 2 weeks that this was going on, and it was devastating the entire state. You know, just in less than 1 month, the entire state was completely devastated. Just because the power was, and also because of the, you know, the insanely cold weather that they had too. But you guys obviously know what caused all of that to happen. I'm not going to mention it in this video, because I'm being extra cautious with what I talk about on here and say on here. But eventually the big one's going to happen. And when that does happen, you're going to start seeing dangerous gangs taking over. There will be no law and order. So don't think that you're going to be able to call up the police to help, you know, solve your problems and help you out with emergencies, right? All of that is going to be your responsibility. You're not going to be able to rely on other people to, you know, help you out in these emergency situations. And what these gangs are going to do, right? These dangerous gangs that are going to end up taking over, they're going to start kicking down doors. They're going to be looking for people who have resources. They're going to be, you know, doing all these different things. And this thing in Puerto Rico that just happened, it's just showing you more and more and more what they have planned out for the entire world. And the reason that I say the entire world is because their plan, you know, applies for the entire world. You guys know exactly what happened last year, right? Last year was just a warm up. And last year, everything that happened last year literally affected the entire world. Because what happened? What did they do? What did they do, folks? They shut down the entire world, and they had everybody scared of the thing, right? I'm not going to say it, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. They shut down the entire world over this. And, you know, they had everybody scared of it. You know, they shut down all these businesses, and they told you that it was about saving lives, even though fast food restaurants are open. But I'm not trying to get caught off guard. So, yeah, that's something that literally affected the entire world, not even just one country or a few countries, but the entire world. There might be a few places that didn't shut down, but for the most part, it affected basically the entire world because it affected most people. And right now, you guys know exactly what they're rolling out for this whole thing. It amazes me how people are dumb enough to even go out and line up for this thing. You know, people are literally, you know, these people have been dumbed down, you know, to the ultimate level, you know, brainwashed, dumbed down, you name it, folks. These people have been absolutely fooled into believing that this is about saving their life. But so yeah, the Puerto Rico situation, this is showing us more and more and more, folks, what these people who are pulling the strings have in store for humanity. Don't be surprised when you start seeing this happen in more places. You already had this whole thing happen in Texas. It was more people that were affected by it just in Texas alone. It was millions that were affected by it in Texas. But and I believe there's Chinese troops in the Texas area too, if I'm not mistaken. I had a subscriber mention that to me. And I mean, folks, these people are preparing big things. You think it's a coincidence that, you know, they've been doing all these training exercises in many of these different areas. They've even been doing this stuff in Canada too. They've been doing these training exercises, not even just Chinese troops, but even Russian troops. Have been doing these different training exercises, and that's because these people know what's coming, and they're making sure that they know exactly how to respond when all this stuff goes down and when things get ugly. And likely, very likely, I know a lot of people have been talking about an invasion for a long time, and that is very, very possible. But very likely they could do something like that. And they could have these people end up taking over because, you know, understand this too, folks. It wouldn't work out perfectly for them if they just, you know, tried to invade without a major disaster occurring. They would have to create a major crisis for them to easily, you know, end up taking over. And because, everybody's, everything's going to be so bad, and nobody's going to know what's going on. Like if they were to have a grid down scenario, right? A long-term grid down scenario, just imagine something like that, right? If they were to have something like that, nobody would know about what's taking place in the world at all, because nobody would be connected to the internet. And that would be the golden opportunity for them to, start taking over. And that would be the golden opportunity for them to come out and say, oh, here you go. If you want, if you want to use our internet again, if you want to be able to use the power again. And this is why it's so important to become self-reliant, folks, because these people are going to, take advantage of these things. And when they flip the switch, their solution for you is going to be for you to accept their entire agenda, for you to for you to be able to use the internet again and whatnot, right? I even seen a story too recently. If I could remember the place off the top of my head. But it was something that talked about how basically the SIM cards of people who didn't take the you-know-what were removed from their devices because they didn't have the you-know-what. So basically, basically it's like no vax, no phone, right? I guess you could call it that. You could still physically have the phone, obviously, but they'll probably just not let you, do certain things with it. The main things that people do with their phones. But, these are the things that are going to be happening, folks. You got to understand that and keep that in mind. It's going to come to a point where they are going to create a major disaster in this world. It's going to be worse than what you seen last year. Last year was literally absolutely nothing compared to what's coming. Klaus Schwab even told you that exact same thing. He was like, this whole thing with the cyber attacks, it would make, it would make the whole thing that we seen in 2020 look like it was just a small disturbance. And that's because it was a warm-up run for them to see how things would go for them, and for them to see how everything would just play out. So become as self-reliant as possible and prepare yourself as much as possible like you've never had before. Stockpile resources as much as possible. Don't stop preparing. And, of course, most importantly, prepare yourself mentally and spiritually. But be ready for anything, folks. Don't be one of those people, like I've said before, don't be one of those people who just wait for something bad to happen to get prepared, because at that point, it's going to be too late. And when they flip the switch this time, whenever they decide to, there will be no turning back. And it will be much more difficult for you to get those things that you need. And also, of course, in a grid down scenario, you'll also have more people, or not more people, you'll also, see more empty shelves, obviously. So yeah, it would become more difficult, folks. So take advantage of the time that you have right now to get what you need. Right now, I could just walk to a grocery store if I wanted to and literally go ahead and stockpile many different things easily, even though prices are going up and it is already becoming more difficult. It's going to be even more difficult in the future, folks, as the prices continue to go up and as the shortages get worse, right? It's going to become even more difficult. So again, prepare yourself as much as possible. This whole thing that just happened at Puerto Rico, this should be another wake-up call, folks, for you to not downplay this stuff and for you to get yourself prepared, because that day's coming, folks, where they're just going to completely flip the switch and they're going to create that big crisis that will allow them to usher in their entire agenda, and that will allow them to get humanity to accept it. And the best way that I see it playing out is just for them to shut the power off, because they know this would be the perfect way to get everybody to lose their minds, to create a massive amount of chaos in the country and the entire world, if they plan on doing it for the entire world. They've already got a lot of these countries already, in their, under their control. But the U.S., the US is not under their control as much as they want it to be. Now, don't get it wrong. People in the US are also very brainwashed. But that doesn't change the fact that the US is still not under the control that they would desire it to be for them, right? So they're going to create a bigger crisis, not just for the country, like I said, but for the entire world, for the purpose of their plan. So prepare yourself as much as possible. Please share the video far and wide and get what you need now before it's too late. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Please share the video far and wide. I thank you guys for all the support. And I'm going to continue. All I know for sure is that I'm going to continue trying to prepare as much as I can and in the ways that I can before it's too late. I know a lot of people think that something big is going to happen in the summertime. We don't know the exact time that all this stuff is going to take place. But what we do know is that eventually it will go down. Eventually they will pull off this bigger crisis. And when they do it, it's going to get very ugly. So don't be afraid. Prepare yourself now. I thank you guys for watching this video. And I'm out.